Hello, friends. Welcome to the LeggLife podcast. My name is Adam.
My name is Sherry.
Sherry Beth, what episode is this?
1, 2, 3.
123. Are you ready for our number 123 fun fact?
Sure.
You are not as into this whole idea as I am. Finding a fun fact about whatever the episode number is.
You are really excited for this.
I'm excited for this. And this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
In the country of Colombia, 123 is their emergency phone number.
Oh, like 911?
So we have 911.
Or
they have
999 in the UK.
Or 999 in the UK. We have one, or they have 123 in Colombia.
Interesting.
It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. I actually like that one. I did not know that. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
LeggLife podcast, educating you and entertaining you.
I read a lot of UK-based books, so I knew the 999.
I did not know the 999. Mm-hmm. Let's save that as our fun fact for our 999th episode.
All right. We'll just log that in the old brain.
Yeah, like we'll get there. All right. I want to explain to you why in the heck we are talking about the topic we're talking about tonight.
Yep.
So I have had one of the most traumatic weeks of my life. Mm-hmm. And for reasons I cannot go into. But it was unbelievably heavy, and I just feel beat up.
Yeah.
At the end of the week.
You said earlier that it was one of the top 3 most traumatic experiences of your life.
Yesterday was one of the top 3 most traumatic days of my life.
Yeah.
Because of things that I had to be a part of. And so tonight I was leaving work, and it was like 8 p.m. and I hadn't had dinner yet, and I was exhausted at the end of a long week. And I thought to myself, you know what I want? I just want some frickin' McDonald's. Now, we have been trying to be much better about food we've been eating, just trying to make better life choices. But at the end of what I went through, the thing that I wanted was something that was comforting to me. And what was comforting, or what is comforting, is like the worst food choices ever.
Quick crap. The thought of having a salad felt like adding additional trauma.
Yeah. Sounds horrible.
No, I mean, it's true, though. We'll go a little more into this, but when I'm feeling exhausted, beat up, emotionally, whatever, I don't want a freaking salad.
So what we're talking about today are our comfort vices. What are the things that we turn to when life gets heavy, life gets hard, life gets traumatic, all of that kind of stuff? Because you guys, tonight, that's where I am. And so what did I do on the way home? I stopped and got some frickin' McDonald's. And here's the thing. Do I already regret it? A little. Will I in the middle of the night more? For sure. But it did bring me a level of
comfort.
It's familiar. It's it's not good for me. It's a terrible decision, and I know that, but I just need something that makes me feel a little bit better.
I made my dinner here, but I did steal a French fry.
Sure, you did have a French fry. You were much better tonight than I was. Also, less traumatic week than I had.
Correct.
All right, so we're going to go through, we made a little bit of a list, and this is not complete. But here's kind of how I want to start, kind of looking at this. The things we turn to, our comfort vices, are not always the same.
Right.
And as Sherry and I were talking earlier, the way I kind of picture it in my mind is almost like a menu. It's like, oh, you just experienced a really hard, really heavy week. I bet you're feeling a lot of big emotions right now. And here's a menu. What would you like to bring comfort this week, today, in this moment?
Mm-hmm. What sounds good, right?
What sounds good? And so you're looking at it, it's like, you know what? I think I'll have a large pizza. I think I will have a good cry. I think I'm going to add a half dozen donuts. You know what? Let's stop and add a gas station corn dog. I'm going to listen to some screamo metal music. And then, what do I want for dessert? But that's kind of the approach.
Right.
It's like, what is it in the moment that will help you?
Yeah.
And I think here's the thing to remember. These are in the moment exceptions. These aren't how you should live your life.
Right. This isn't a normal functioning thing. This is...
It's unhealthy.
It's unhealthy. It's a traumatic thing that has happened, and I need to comfort myself.
Yeah. That's exactly
whatever means necessary, and that's not always healthy.
No, it's not always healthy, but sometimes...
if you're living in this unhealthy area, maybe talk to a therapist. But
here, my argument is everyone should already be talking to a therapist. Let's be very clear about that. All right, Sherry, let's start with yours.
Okay.
Things you go to, we'll kind of bounce back and forth a little bit. Tell us what you turn to.
This first one is not shocking to anybody on the planet. Books.
And honestly, I almost was like, just pick something else. Like, we all know books.
It's true, though.
No, and that's why I was like, you know what? Yeah.
And it's not just books. I can't just go to any book on my bookshelf.
Okay.
When I am going through very heavy things, I need to read light, happy things.
All right.
That's not when I read the latest dystopian. That's not when I'm going to reread Harry Potter. I was just telling Adam, I tried to, I've read it, I don't even know how many times, but last year or the year before, maybe I went to go back and reread it because it's kind of just what I do. And I got through the first 3 and part of the 4th, and I was like, I cannot do this. It was too much for me. And
At that time. Yeah.
And I have never not finished reading all 7 books, but I stopped partway through the 4th.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yep, because I just couldn't handle the heavy.
So when life is like super traumatic, things are really heavy, you're just feeling you got the crap kicked out of you, what kind of things do you go to?
Light, happy romance, honestly. Like, things that are just going to make me feel happy.
Is it things that, because I'm thinking about the week that I just had, where it's like essentially my week was, I'm ending this week reminded of all of the ways that our world is broken. like everything that is wrong in the world. And so do you then look for books that like take you out of that and like complete escapism? Like, I want to just be reminded of only good things.
I don't want to read angsty, heavy, dark romance. I want to read light, happy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So my first one is one that I already mentioned, and that is food. You know, it's one of the reasons that I have struggled with weight for so long is that food tends to be my comfort go-to. It tends to be, I'm an emotional eater and I have big emotions. And so I turn to food a ton, and I have my whole life. Like I don't remember a time when I didn't do that. I'll say that. And it is never for me, good food. I was telling Sherry on the drive home as I was thinking about what to eat, you know, kind of passing things as I went. I was like, I passed a pizza place, like, large pizza. Passed Taco Bell, I'm like, tacos. Passed McDonald's, like, Big Mac. Passed Subway, and I was like, oh, gross. Like, that's disgusting. Because, like, and here's the thing, I like Subway, but just the thought of anything that has any remote health or any benefit to me.
Like a vegetable?
No.
Nope.
Get the hell out of here. Do not put me down for that. Like, I want things that are just, like, and I don't know, I was telling Sherry, I don't know if it's like self-sabotage, almost like, I don't know, but like, why is it that I'm drawn to those kind of foods? And it's not just fast food. It would be like, honestly, if I could go to a diner and sit down and get meatloaf and mashed potatoes, that also sounds amazing. It's stuff that is just hearty and comforting, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But food for me, I definitely find myself wanting to just constantly eat. Like, I just ate a matter of minutes ago, and if I had a donut in front of me, I would be stoked. Like right now. It's just like when I feel like this, I want to just simply eat.
Yeah.
Because that's where I turn when I'm emotional is that. So food for me would be food or my books.
Yeah. Yeah. My next one is movies.
Okay.
Movies, TV. I'm going to put them kind of in the same one. I don't watch a ton of movies. I don't watch a ton of TV shows for sure. But when I am wanting to escape, that's when I like binge an entire TV show or watch a bunch of movies. And we can touch maybe later on why I think that is. But that's when I want to just zone out to a TV show or a movie.
We can touch on that now because I don't know what you're going to say.
Oh, because I'm an internal processor, and I think this is also why books for me. My brain is always going 800 million miles an hour.
Sure.
When I am experiencing something traumatic, I spiral and I loop, and my brain really, I get to a very dark place, and it loops there. It stays there. And so I almost need to, like, that's where the good happy books come in. That's where the happy TV shows come in. Something that is outside my brain.
Okay.
For my brain to focus on. If I am just sitting in quiet or even just with like music on, like my brain wants to focus on whatever traumatic thing is happening.
Interesting.
And I spiral into a very dark place.
Because to me, so I'm the exact opposite. In fact, the next thing on my list is road trips in silence. Now, if you know me, you know that I am not normally ever silent. But I've actually found like this week, it was Thursday, had a break from lunch from what I was doing, and it was just like so heavy, and what I needed to do was just go walk around downtown, and just walk and think and process. And the same is true for me with road trips. Like normally when I drive, I want music on, I want to be singing along, or I want a podcast. But when I'm experiencing something like I am right now, I want total silence, because I want to be able to focus and feel and think and process. Like, it's almost like there's so many big emotions and I want to feel them. Like, I want to give them the attention and the space that I know they need in order for me to be able to release those. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think because you always have external things coming at you, because that's just
Who I am.
who you are.
Yeah.
And I think when you are going through something really traumatic, like you need to push that stuff away in order to be able to focus on it. But because, and I think that's why I'm opposite, because everything I do is internal.
It's very interesting.
And I need to push out. I need to get out of my internal in order to actually be able to kind of process it, because I will just spiral.
So let's go now. I want to jump kind of around our list, because I think there's something else that is interesting about you and I in our differences.
Yeah.
So last night when I came home, you knew I had just a really, really hard day.
Yeah.
And so I just sit on the couch, and
I came and sat next to you.
You came and sat next to me, which to me in the moment, that was literally the last thing I wanted in the world.
I didn't know that.
Because I want the world and I want people at arm's length. Like it's almost like I have this giant bubble around me, and in that bubble are all of these feelings and all of these emotions and all of these things, and I need my space in the bubble to like feel it all. And so when you sat next to me, it was almost like I felt myself physically respond to like, you're in my bubble, like I need my space. But you're the exact opposite.
I am the opposite. And I think, again, because I'm not a touchy-feely kind of person, but when I'm going through something hard, I need I need you. I need my person.
Yeah.
And I need the comfort that you can give me. And so, like, that's when I am touchy-feely. Like, that's when I have to be right next to you. I have to be touching you somehow. And I think because I just don't usually, but I need that extra comfort.
That's so interesting that we are.
But you are very touchy-feely.
Normally.
Normally.
That's the
Right.
weird thing, is that normally
we flip.
We flip.
When we need the comfort.
We flip in when we need the comfort.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't even know if it's comfort. Like, I guess I don't have the right language for this, because is it when you need comfort? Is it when you've experienced like something really traumatic or really heavy or really hard? Maybe those are the same thing. Maybe it's just semantics. But yeah, I think it's interesting that we flip in that situation.
Yeah.
It's kind of fascinating. And we haven't talked about, like, we talked a little bit earlier, but before tonight, we've never really talked about that.
No.
And so it's like, we're 18 and a half years in a marriage,
Right.
and we're still learning this kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of
But
fascinating.
I like that we can still learn things about each other and still, like, and I mean, honestly, I didn't know. Like, I sat next to you because I thought, oh, he had a really hard day. He just needs somebody close.
Nope. Last thing I
Because you're
wanted.
usually just so touchy-feely.
Nope.
And, like, almost immediately, like, you stood up and, like...
I stood up and I left.
And I was like, okay.
I stood up and I left because, like, I can't... It's almost like... I go back to the bubble illustration. It's like I have this bubble around me, and the bubble is full of all of this stuff that I had just experienced. Mm-hmm. And now with you in the bubble, there wasn't space for all that stuff. Right. But I wasn't done processing that stuff. I need that stuff.
Right.
You know? And so it's like, okay, I have to leave because I need to take me and my bubble of emotion and go over here by herself
Right.
and get the hell out of my bubble.
Thankfully, I feel like I'm pretty good about reading
Books. No, I'm just kidding. I know. I'm joking.
I don't know, aura, I don't know, like you. And so
Whoa,
I kind of know,
okay, hippie.
like, I know.
I'm just joking.
But like I could tell, like when you got up, I was like, oh, he didn't, that's not what he needed then.
Yep.
Well, okay. So I didn't like follow you.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
my
where are you
feelings-
going?
Right. And my feelings weren't hurt because I was like, okay, well, that's not what he needs.
Yep.
I was like, all right, well, then I'm going to back off.
Yep. I'm just gonna take me and my big bubble of emotions and go over here if you don't mind, where you're not near me,
Right.
creeper.
Sorry.
Okay, so earlier we talked about me and my food kind of stuff, things
Yeah.
I default to. But again, something is a little bit different for you that isn't normally the case.
I am not really a sweets kind of person.
You're more savory.
I'm more savory. I am okay not having dessert.
It's so weird to me. And then when you have dessert, it's okay if your dessert is like something that's not that sweet.
Right. And I will have 2 or 3 bites of it. Like, I mean,
Odd.
I don't eat a lot of sweets. I'm not a sweet person. I don't know.
You
if
are
know.
a very sweet person. You are the sweetest person.
I'm a little salty.
Well, not when you sit next to me on the couch when I do my space Sherry. We'll talk about that later.
But when I am experiencing trauma of some kind or going through something heavy, I want all of the sweets. And I find myself gravitating. Like, I mean, I'm pulled toward them, which is weird.
Very strange.
Because I'm really just not usually a sweets kind of person.
Again, for the record, I think Sherry's a very sweet person.
Sweet. I'm not
Oh,
sweet.
sweets.
Desserts.
I know. I'm always the desserts person.
Yeah.
We finish a dessert, and I'm like, I could be for second desserts.
And it's so funny because I'll have like a piece of a Hershey bar and I'm good. I'm like, I'm good. And you're like, that's not even remotely sweet. Like the entire bar. Like that's not going to cut it.
No, not even a whole Hershey bar is sweet enough.
Right. You're like, nope.
Absolutely not. Yeah, it's very, very different. Okay.
Yeah.
So the next one for me, and I've actually found myself doing this, and I think it goes back to a lot of the things we've said with the way I process.
Mm-hmm.
I find myself zoning out.
Yeah.
I will lay on the couch on my back and I will look at the ceiling for hours.
Just stare.
Just stare. I'll lay in the bed and I will just look. I'm not listening to anything. I'm not doing anything. I'm not like playing games on my phone or scrolling.
Yeah.
I am literally just staring there. I don't know what just happened there. I spoke in Parsifal tongue, I think.
Did you?
Yep. Yep. Just some classes I've been taking at Hogwarts on the weekend.
Nice.
Yep. And I just, it's like I just zone out.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I'm normally a zoner outer. But boy, I sure am in those moments.
I think that's the only time that you're still.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I think you might be right.
You don't usually sit still.
I definitely don't usually sit still.
Yeah. I just hit my microphone. Sorry.
Oh, Sherry. Don't worry. We've only done this 122 other times.
My nose itched.
We'll get it.
Sorry.
And I know, I saw.
It's fine. So for me, I almost always have some kind of music or something going on when I'm working. Unless I'm really having to like focus on work and then I can't have any noise. But for the most part, I have music going, like a playlist of whatever. When I am feeling heavy thoughts and whatever, I need very calming music. I still need music, but I need very calming. And so that's when I will put on like light classical, or I have a playlist called airplane music that is like calming for the airplane, and it's all like Rosie Thomas and like just very calming voices. And so like I will put that kind of stuff on because there's no like drum beat. There's no like nothing's yelling at me. Like it's just very calm. And I almost like it calms my soul when my soul is not calm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So I will listen to very calm music.
It calms my soul when my soul is not calm.
Yeah.
Very deep, Sherry.
I know.
So now I want to talk about because we talked about things that we turn to, but I think heaviness, weight, traumatic experiences can also reflect physically in our bodies and make us feel physically a certain way.
Yes.
And so we're touching on this kind of in our conversation before the podcast. How do you feel physically when going through something like that, or kind of when on the other side?
when my emotions and my mental state are all out of whack, I am physically exhausted. I feel tired. I have no energy. I just want to sleep. And I mean, I'm kind of always tired because thank you ADS. But like, this is like a whole extra. This is like a bone weary tired.
Like a soul level
A
exhaustion.
soul level exhaustion.
Interesting.
Yep. And so I find myself just wanting to sleep.
So how do you recover from that? Because I think it's like if you're physically tired, take a nap. You know, if you're like, but like soul level exhaustion, how do you recover from that? Like, what works for you?
It depends. Sometimes just a really good night's sleep. If I just take all of the things that will knock me out, I can wake up the next day feeling a little bit lighter. I mean, sometimes it's just getting through whatever shitty thing we're going through.
Yeah.
Until I'm just not feeling so tired. You know, like it's just, I think it's just getting through it. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Like I'm just gonna be tired until I feel like we're pushing through this muck.
You got to get on the other side of it. I guess that makes sense. For me, the way it physically comes out, I feel like I've been in a fight, like a physical fight. Like I feel beat up and sore. There were, especially in my bouncer days, times that I'd get in like just physical fights and altercations, if you will. And there's the way your body feels a day or two after that is hard to explain if you've never been in it, but you've taken some hits, your body's been really tense, you've worked some muscles. Like there's just this, you just feel sore, your body aches. That's actually how I feel like right now. If you had told me 2 days ago I was in a fight, I'd be like, yep, that actually makes sense because it checks out with exactly how I feel. And so that's normally how it is for me. And I think maybe because I do like find myself tensing up a lot in those situations, so my body is physically reacting. And so afterwards I feel that way.
Yeah.
I think coming out of it, and I asked you this a little bit with the how it does physically. Any other things for you that when you've experienced significant trauma, we haven't talked about this, so I'm very sorry. If you want me to answer first, I can. That help you get through it, process it, get on the other side of it in healthy ways. Because here's the thing. A Big Mac a day is not the healthiest way.
Correct.
That's actually a saying. Big Mac a day is not the healthiest way.
Not the healthiest way.
Probably not getting McDonald's as a sponsor for the podcast.
Nope. I do have a mug that says a book a day keeps reality away.
Okay, that sounds healthy.
Also not super healthy.
Nope.
If I'm using it for escapism. I'm trying to think. You might need to go first because I'm going to have to think about other ways that I can get through.
So I think for me, the big one, like even as I'm thinking about next week, we're going on a vacation next week, but one of the things I want to do is set up a phone call or Zoom time. Sorry, I'm
yawning. Wow. Are we boring you?
Yeah, you guys are so boring. I mean, that's hilarious. Proof that we don't edit the LeggLife podcast right there. Just like set up a Zoom call or a phone call just for a counseling session and just kind of process some of the stuff from this week. Because I think that there is an element that is, this is why I'm such a big fan of therapy, of counselors, of having a space, whether it's a chaplain, whatever it is, to go to, just being able to talk through and process something that is really heavy, I think is important. It's almost like gives you a space to say, I'm going to set this load down, this weight I've been carrying, I'm going to set this down for a moment and let's talk about it. Let's unpack it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then maybe the weight that you pick back up isn't quite as heavy. So I think that's a big one for me. I think part of it is, for me personally, because I am an external processor, I think it's giving myself the space to feel this. So even thinking about this weekend, I have another work event tomorrow, but then tomorrow night's free, Sunday's free. I feel like I need to go on maybe a road trip or just like a short drive by myself, just without the radio on, and just have an hour or more, or maybe if it's nice out, go for a walk on a bike path and just be in it and feel it, because it's almost like for me, I need to feel it and then I can set it down. it's like, I can't just set it down now. It's almost like I need to feel it. I need to process. I need to think it through. And then it's like, you know what? This is not a weight that I'm going to choose to carry into like my future. And so we're going to go ahead and set this down here. I've done the work of dealing with it and addressing it. And now I'm not choosing to bring it with me as I go forward.
Yeah.
But that happens for me in space. And it's like, okay, so this weekend I need to give myself space to do that.
I think it's probably similar to me. I think talking it through with people that I trust, and giving myself the space to feel it. I feel everything all the time.
Yep, you're very much an empath.
I not just my own emotions, but everybody else's too. And but allowing myself to sit in it and like think about it. Honestly, that's when like showers come in real handy for me.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like, okay, I have X amount of minutes to let myself feel all of the things. I can't even tell you how many times I've just cried in the shower.
Yeah.
And I allow myself to feel it. And then, yeah, like when I step out, I feel like I'm lighter. Like I feel like it's not as heavy to carry anymore.
I think
but if I let myself just sit in it, then I will just spiral and I'll just really just sit in it.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of give myself like a block of time.
And I think that's the thing is like a time to look at it, not a time to bury it under a rug and ignore it. Because I think that things need to be like, you need to take the time to process it.
I think that your feelings, your emotions are going to come out one way or the other, and you can let them or they can explode out.
Boom.
So you can like allow them out and deal with them as they come, or you can bottle them and then they will just bottle rocket.
Well, I remember a counselor, this was years ago in a conversation. She was basically telling me something very similar to that it's like, okay, these things, they are going to be dealt with.
Right.
They're just going to be dealt with now in a really healthy way, or they're going to be dealt with decades down the road when you've done like so much destruction and like there's ruined lives and marriages and kids and you know what I mean? Like all of this other stuff, like it's going to come out, but you get to choose if it's going to come out in a healthy way in a healthy time, or if it just has built up to the point that it explodes.
Right. Or in a healthy space where it can be dealt with.
100%.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
But I'm not going to lie. McDonald's helped tonight.
I'm glad.
Because that's comfort. It's like,
My one single fry was great.
Yeah, I don't know how you just had one fry. I was like, well, that's a self-control that I don't have, nor in this moment do I even want.
Right. Right.
like, nope. I know it's a bad decision, and I care 0.00%.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it was so good. And like I said, I could eat right now. I could have a donut. I have such a sweet tooth right now.
I do want a donut, though.
Oh, I want a dozen donuts. Also, do you remember earlier in the podcast when we bored you so much that you yawned really big?
That was not me,
That was
sir.
so rude,
That
Sherry.
was not me.
I'm going to need you to be more awake for the
Mr.
next
Leg.
episodes, okay? These people are giving us their time and their attention, and you are just yawning like they're boring you.
Oh, wow.
You guys, I want to apologize for sharing her actions on this podcast. I'm really sorry for the way that she is. All right, friends, here's
Speaking of feeling beat up,
Oh, stop.
let me tell you.
Oh, my Lord. Give me a break.
No, I was just going to say I'm going to beat you up.
Oh, see, no, yeah.
There's going to be punches after this.
Honestly, that's probably the reality. That's probably the reality. We end the podcast and Sherry just right hooks me. Just knocks me off my chair. Oh, my gosh.
Yoinks.
Here's what I want to know, you guys. In the comment section, the way this works, go over to YouTube, type in LeggLife Podcast, hit the subscribe button if you have not, and then find this episode. And I want you in the comment section to tell us, what are the comfort things that you turn to?
Yeah.
What are they food? Is it shows? Is it books? Is it silence? Is it noise? Is it family? Is like, what is it? What are the things that you turn to when you've experienced just really heaviness or loss or trauma, or just, you're just feeling the weight of life?
Yeah.
I want to know. You guys, we love you so much.
Yeah.
This is the last podcast you all are going to hear before we are on our super bougie, ultra luxury cruise. Whoop, whoop.
Mr. Yanni over here.
Yanni, live at the Acropolis. How many of you guys remember the singer Yanni? Like Yanni? I think he had a CD or a cassette of him live at the, what is it?
Acropolis, I think.
Yeah, live at the Acropolis. And so every time Sherry yawns, I'm like, wow, yawny over here, live at the Acropolis. And she's like, shut up. I was like,
shut your face.
18 years.
Oh my God.
Yawny.
He never gets tired of it.
The joke is
Guess who does get tired of it?
That's you. The joke is as funny today as it was.
Is it?
2 decades ago when I came up with it.
Is it?
Oh, that's hilarious. Friends, we love you so very much. We will see you on the next LeggLife podcast. Bye.